Day's top stories, the best bets, and Jason Page. This is the Cash In Early Edition.
At what point do I have to change the open to the show to reflect that Sam is basically on all 5 days? And I'm gonna have to do something with that. I feel like a bad person. It's wear your hat backwards day. Can I tell you what the truth is? And let me bring in Sam just for a moment here to start the show. I do have some stuff I want to talk about, and then we'll bring Sam in. But it is wear your hat backwards day. You know what the reason is, Sam?
What's that?
Because I don't have a lovely head of hair like you.
Oh, I was just about to go get myself a hat to wear backwards.
Yeah, see, you got a Washington Nationals hat right over your left shoulder there.
Yeah, this one's a little too small for me. This is a special Nationals hat. I don't wear it that often, but I got a couple of other ones here in the studio. Maybe I'll get up and go grab one.
Are you one of those people that has a massive cranium?
Yeah, I mean, it's not massive. It's like just slightly larger than most Major League Baseball players. I would also
Can we land a helicopter on your head? Is that what you're saying?
It's not that
It's
big.
a giant cranium.
I'm not like an 8. There are people who wear like size 8
It's like Michael
hats.
K.
I'm not one
Michael
of
K's
those.
got like a size 8 hat.
That's crazy, man. Like, yeah, I couldn't do that. My hair also, or my hat size, I will say, also varies incredibly with how long my hair is. I just have very thick hair. So whenever I have like very long hair, I'll wear like an entire hat size up. And when I have short hair, it'll be a hat size down. So that's where we're at.
Okay, I'm just checking. The thing is, I had planned to get a haircut yesterday, because I'm working on some things that require me to look decent on video. So I was going to get a haircut yesterday, and things got away from me, and I didn't get a haircut. So I'm going to get a haircut after the show today. But my hair looked so bad today, I just didn't want to. Oh, Sam disappeared. I just see his name now. All right. We'll get to Sam Yarnell coming up in a couple of minutes. So Aaron Rodgers has spoken. Well, kind of. He's on social. Oh, Sam put his hat on. All right. We'll get back to Sam here in a second. So, Aaron Rodgers has spoken, kind of. And I said on the show on Tuesday, on the podcast Tuesday, I made it clear I thought Aaron Rodgers would come back. That this wasn't going to be the end for him at 39. He wasn't going to go out this way. And if you read between the lines, which it's all we can do because he has not officially said, I'm coming back. He has not officially said, I'm retiring. I don't even think they've gone in and done the surgery yet. So until they do the surgery, I don't think they're going to know just how bad, and how long the rehab time is going to be. This thing could be 7 months, it could be 12 months, it could be 16 months. Who the hell knows? So, knowing what we know, Aaron Rodgers has made it clear that he intends to play again. Robert Saleh has also said that he believes Aaron Rodgers is not going to go out this way, and that he intends to play again. So that brings in some very interesting scenarios for the Jets. Can you just sort of write off this year? Which, as far as I'm concerned, I think Sam will agree with this when we bring him in. I think we'd all agree. If you're going with Zach Wilson this year, you've basically said we're not going to win a Super Bowl. You might be a wild card team, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, you could argue even that they're not going to be a wild card team. That's fine, but they'll be a borderline wild card team, right? I think we could all agree. 9-10 wins. They're going to be in the mix. The question is, what do you do between now and the time Aaron Rodgers returns? And you don't know what Aaron Rodgers you're getting. So if you're the Jets, you're writing off this year, and next year now becomes an enormous question mark for this organization that is built to win now. I mean, my God, you want to talk about an entire franchise. And this is, I know I harp back on this and I keep going back to it. What makes sports the greatest reality show on earth is these kinds of stories, because who could have predicted just 5 days ago, that the Jets organization would be in this position? that would be trying to figure out what next year looks like, forgetting that you could basically write off this year, what next year is going to look like. Now, look, I still will maintain Zach Wilson will not be the quarterback past week 6 because they're going to get a look at what he is. And all of a sudden, everybody at the top of the organization is going to go, wait, hold on. We were built to win a Super Bowl this year. Fine. We don't have Aaron Rodgers, and we have to recalibrate. But in recalibrating, we have to bring in a quarterback that is capable of helping us win now. Because there's no way Zach Wilson's going to be that answer. Maybe he'll shock all of us, and if he does, I'll put my foot in my mouth, I'll eat my shoe, whatever you want to do. But Aaron Rodgers is making it clear he wants to come back and play next year. They're going to owe it to him to give him the opportunity to do that. So anything that takes place this year is just a stopgap measure. Whether that's a quarterback, whether that's a trade. You know I mentioned Kirk Cousins the other day. Boy, does he feel like the best fit? Does Kirk Cousins feel like the best potential fit for this organization? I'll tell you another guy, and I've heard his name brought up, Ryan Tannehill. If the Titans decided that we can't win this year, we're going to just be kind of a middle of the rung team. Let's find out what Will Levis is. Let's trade Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill. Is it Tannehill? Sometimes people say it as Tannehill. Tannehill or Tannehill. He feels like he'd be a good sort of interim guy. Because you obviously can't go and get anybody who's going to want anything long term. So imagine whoever comes in there has to understand that they're basically just a stopgap guy for that year. That's why a guy like Joe Flacco still makes sense. As much as people will scoff at the idea of Joe Flacco at this stage of his career, coming in and trying to help the Jets win. I mean, isn't Joe Flacco anyway just a poor man's Aaron Rodgers? Neither of them can move around the pocket all that much. They both got big arms, but Flacco's is probably not as big as it once was. Wouldn't Joe Flacco be a guy that you'd at least pick up the phone and give a call to? Right now, it's Tim Boyle. I mean, think about that for a second. It's Tim Boyle, and the Jets play. I mean, you really have to game this out a little bit. The Jets play against the Cowboys this week. Did you see what the Cowboys did to Daniel Jones and the Giants on Sunday night? If Zach Wilson goes down with an injury, which is not, this is not pie in the sky theory here. If Zach Wilson goes down with an injury this week, Tim Boyle, the Boyle, is your backup quarterback. That is your next option. Let that sink in for a minute, Jets fans. You think it's bad now with Zach Wilson. You think your season's kind of on the brink with Zach Wilson. Imagine what happens if it becomes Tim Boyle. That's the Jets quarterback at some point in week 2 because that pass rush of the Cowboys injures Zach Wilson. Where does it leave the Jets? How long are they going to wait? How long can they wait? This has to be an all-hands-on-deck situation in terms of finding the next quarterback for the next 15, 14, 13 weeks, whatever it looks like by the time you get a QB in and get them used to the system. And as much as everybody wants to say that it has to be a Nathaniel Hackett guy, that's just not going to be an option. We can trade for Brett Rippon, who's now the backup in Los Angeles to Matt Stafford. Well, he's a Nathaniel Hackett guy. He worked in the system. I mean, where are you going to go? So you can no longer have this prerequisite that to work in the Jets system, you have to be a Nathaniel Hackett guy. No. Nathaniel Hackett, as an offensive coordinator, as a professional football coach, needs to adjust to whoever the Jets bring in that's going to be their best option at this point. With that, we say good morning to Sam Yarnell, who is nameless today. Somehow, some way, I made your name disappear. Oh, there it is. There's Sam's name.
I was looking for that.
Yeah, it's all right. It's overrated.
Dude. Jason.
What?
Joe Flacco
Hey,
is
man.
basically Aaron Rodgers, dude.
I said, no. You didn't hear me say. Maybe you didn't listen. Maybe you were too busy playing with your hair or looking at the suit you were going to wear or what round of golf you were going to play. I said, poor man's Aaron Rodgers. Oh, and by the way, they have something in common. They both have one Super Bowl. Sorry, continue.
Joe Flacco, that is quite literally the only thing they have in common. They both have one Super Bowl and one Super Bowl MVP. Joe Flacco is not a poor man's Aaron Rodgers. Joe Flacco is a homeless person's Aaron Rodgers, maybe.
He's not. He's a poor man.
Aaron Rodgers has played. I'm looking at the player comparison of them both right now. Joe Flacco's thrown 42 more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers has in 51 fewer games.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers has thrown for almost twice as many yards. I'm looking at the wrong stat. He has twice as many career fantasy points as Joe Flacco. He's thrown for 17,000 more yards than Joe Flacco. He's run for 1,700 more yards than Joe Flacco. He gets 4.
That's why I said poor man. But hold on, I said poor man's. The statistics are not going to be the same if you're talking about poor man's. I'm talking about style of play, the way they play the game. Joe Flacco plays it very similarly to Aaron Rodgers if you've watched the two of them play. He may not do it as well. He's obviously done it pretty well at stages of his career. And by the way, he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, which to me is actually more impressive than Rodgers winning one with the Packers. Just put that out there too.
I disagree on the premise that Ravens defense was next to unstoppable, and it was one of the best defenses of the 2000s easily. You look at it, and it was deep top to bottom. I mean, from the front to the back, from was it Haloti Ngata on that defensive line? Was he on that defensive line to Ray Lewis in the middle to Ed Reed at safety? That entire defense was stacked. But in terms of how they play the game, I understand at a very basic level, but at the end of the day, the reason the Jets are a winning team with Aaron Rodgers is because he plays football at a Pro Bowl level. He plays the position at a Pro Bowl level, and sometimes an All-Pro level, and sometimes an MVP level. But the floor, really, for him is a Pro Bowl level season. Joe Flacco's never been a Pro Bowl quarterback in his life.
Sure, he has. He's been on a Pro Bowl. You're telling me Joe Flacco's never made a Pro Bowl?
I'm looking at it right now. He's never made the Pro Bowl.
No way. That doesn't make any sense.
Never made the Pro Bowl. Never made an All-Pro team, never won an MVP. Aaron Rodgers has 4 MVPs, 5 All-Pros, and 10 Pro Bowls.
Oh, he was invited to the 2015 Pro Bowl and turned it down. So he was a Pro Bowler, 2015.
But he didn't go.
No, decided not to. But he was invited. So he was a Pro Bowler.
Now we're gonna get into the dirty of it.
But I mean, look, cast all that aside. My bigger point is, the Jets have to go and do something fast. You can't afford, and this is the bigger point. You got to see the forest through the trees here. You look at this Jets schedule over the next several weeks, with the Jets playing the Cowboys this week. They are home for the Patriots next week, which is almost guaranteed to be a loss because Bill Belichick never loses to the Jets. It's Kansas City the following week, and the Broncos on the road the week after that, followed by the Eagles. So I mean, you're talking about a situation here where your next 5 games, you could conceivably lose all of them, and you could be 1-5, and the season could be over before you even get another quarterback in here to fix what's wrong.
So I actually disagree with you about that very point for a reason I'll get to in just a second. Really quick before we do, Joe Flacco in 2015 with the Baltimore Ravens was 25th in the league in terms of passing yards with 2,791. He had a 3-7 record as a quarterback, and his completion percentage was 14th in the league. So he turned that Pro Bowl down because he knew he would get dragged through the mud if he accepted that invitation.
I don't think that's
why. He was completely undeserving of it. Now, to the point about the Jets, I actually think that if we had to know that this injury was going to happen, this is the best time for it to happen at. And it's exactly because of what I said before the season started. The best case scenario for the New York Jets through the first 7 weeks with Aaron Rodgers was 2-5. Looking at their schedule, that was the best case. The best they could do was 2-5.
I disagree with that, but okay.
Right? Okay. 3-4 even, right? You're still a game under 500. They were not going to win 4 of their first 7 games. Just the strength of schedule, it was too tough. And especially going Monday to Sunday, short week, at least 1, I think 2 short weeks in there. It was not feasible for them to go better than 500 in their first 7 weeks. Now they're playing with house money, right? And if they lose, it doesn't matter as much as it would if they had Aaron Rodgers. The injury almost bought them time in the season. Now they've got a couple of weeks to figure out if they want to bring a new quarterback in. If Zach Wilson really can understand this offense, even if they're not winning games, sometimes you learn the most from the games that you lose, not the games that you win. So it'll be interesting to see how Zach Wilson handles it. As I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to go 1-5 or 0-6 through the next 6 games now. If they go, 2-4, I would be surprised. If they go 3-3, I'd be shocked. We're going to get to that same point by the end of the first 7 games. But I don't think it's out of the question for them to I think they could contend for a wild card spot, Jason. I don't think they'll make the playoffs when, everything's said and done and the fat lady is sung, but I do think they could contend for a wild card spot if they figure out this whole QB situation and get it turned around here over the course of this next 6 weeks, which is going to be a very tough stretch for that team.
I'm just looking at the Jets last year. I'm just trying to see what they did with Zach Wilson against some of these teams they're going to be playing. They beat the Broncos 16-9 in Denver. Wow, are they playing? Did I just read this right? Do they have they have Denver on the road back-to-back years? Wow, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm just sitting here looking at last year to see how Zach Wilson did as the starting quarterback against some of these teams. Look, if they somehow won 2 of the next 6 games and were 3 what would that make them? 3-3 through the first? No, that would make them 2-3, right? Make them 3-3, or no, next 6. If they went 2-4. They went 2-4 in the next, so they would be 3-4. If they were somehow 3-4 coming out of this 6-game, just a hellacious schedule here over the next 6, and then they got the Giants. Who knows what the Giants are at that point? Chargers, Raiders on the road. Let's put it this way: if you are 1-6, let's just say worst case, which is just unfathomable to think about, but if they're 1-6 coming out of this stretch, are you almost at that point inclined to tank? Do you almost have to tank for Caleb Williams at that point? When you turned your mic off instead of on. That works better that way.
What I said was why. Listen, I don't think that Aaron Rodgers will come back, and if he does, I don't think he'll be good at all.
He's coming back. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but he's making it clear that he intends to come back.
He'll be worse than Brian Braum was in the NFL.
Oh, stop! You don't know that. Everybody recovers different.
Yeah, 39-year-old.
I get it. But I hate this. I hate this thing that and we're all guilty of it sometimes in the media. But it drives me bonkers when we try, it is a complete crapshoot. And you might have a guess as to what Aaron Rodgers looks like on the other side of this. But the fact of the matter is none of us know. None of us know. And everybody likes to get out there and say and try, give a hot take or try to be able to be the first one to say, see, I told you he was going to suck. Because a year from now, if he's really still good, if he goes through a preseason next year and all of a sudden we're like, wow, Aaron Rodgers could still play. Nobody's going to remember a year ago that you said, well, he's going to suck. He's going to be Brian Brum. Where at the same time, if he does suck, you're going to harken back and say, see, I told you he's going to suck. Let's just see what he is. The guy obviously was by all accounts this year, this dude was in the best shape of his life coming into this year. And he tore his Achilles. But you have to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and give him an opportunity to come back. And again, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers sycophant. But the guy has earned the right to try and come back and see if he can play. And let's also be honest. He's going to be rehabbing with the Jets. So the Jets are going to know. The Jets are going to find out. They're going to find out if this guy could still play or not. And they're going to be watching the rehab process and finding out, hey, is he going to be able to be the same Aaron Rodgers? Again, I'll go back to something I said yesterday on the show. Again, this is just dime store, orthopedist talk. I actually have an orthopedic surgeon, one of the very best in the Northeast, who I actually was going to get on the show to talk about this. Maybe I'll get him on next week. It's not his plant foot. I'll keep going back to that. The fact that it's not the guy's plant foot is very different from what Dan Marino went through when it was his plant foot. So I'm just saying, it's easy to get into the whole rhetoric of he's going to suck when he comes back. We don't know. So just leave that be, because we don't know, because we don't know what he's going to be. We don't know.
You're right.
There's not a lot of guys at 39 playing quarterback in the NFL, let alone guys at 39 going to be 40 in the NFL who have torn an Achilles, and we'll just have to wait and see.
And I understand that, Jason, but I think what we also need to do is stop falling for this. And quite frankly, I think many of us in the media are guilty of it. We're falling for this Aaron Rodgers love fest PR show, and really I don't understand. Like we're acting like this isn't the guy who held out from camp a year ago so he could go do ayahuasca in the southern hemisphere. Let's be serious. Is this really a guy who cares that much? Until he got to the Jets, all he was doing while he was in his last 2, 3, maybe even 4 years with the Packers was talking about how much he hates playing football.
I can't believe
other things and wants to go host Jeopardy and all these kind of things. Why are we all of a sudden, because of one injury that it would be career-ending for any normal 39-year-old professional athlete, all of a sudden we're convinced that this guy's some massive competitor who really wants to play football now?
I can't believe that you're putting me in the position of having to defend Aaron Rodgers, because I can't stand the guy. But I have to defend Aaron Rodgers here for a second. He was you talk about the last 3 years in Green Bay. Oh, my God, I can't believe I have to be the guy that defends Aaron Rodgers on this show. But I'll do it. He was in a miserable marriage. Now, again, if you don't know what that's like, he was in a miserable marriage the last 3 years. He watched the organization go draft his replacement. Then he went out and won an MVP. They never put the team around him that he asked for. He never had say in terms of player personnel the way a lot of star quarterbacks of his stature have. I don't blame. Look, and I think there's blame to go around. And I talked about this ad nauseum a year ago. I think there's plenty of blame to go around to both sides on this. I don't want to do the both sidesism, but I'm gonna. There was enough blame to go around to Aaron Rodgers for the way he conducted himself, and I blasted him infinitum last year. And there's enough blame to go around to the Packers as well for the way they handled not just a good quarterback or a great quarterback, but an all-time great quarterback. They did not treat him the way that other organizations would treat somebody. And again, some of that is on him, some of that is on them. So I'm just saying, when you judge the last 3 years or however you want to determine it, you have to understand the dynamics of what was going on in that organization over the last few years. All right, I'm done defending Aaron Rodgers. I can't do it.
I mean, well, here's the thing. If you're going to stand up for Aaron Rodgers in that regard, then I'm going to stand up for the Packers in the other regard of why did it take him 3 years to ask for a trade then? If he was so unhappy with the situation and all these things were making him so upset, why did he wait until the year 2022 when things were starting to, upset him in 2019? Why did he wait until 2022 to ask for a trade out?
Well, who knows?
You know why? Because he wanted to stir up drama and he likes being the center of attention.
I don't disagree.
He's a freaking NBA player in the NFL who loves drama and seeing stories about him and smoking a bunch of drugs.
I don't disagree.
That's exactly why. Because he's an NBA player in the NFL.
I don't disagree with some of what you're saying. I don't. But again, both sides were to blame, I think, ultimately, in how that whole thing panned out over the last 3 years. Just as simple as that. And I think one day when the book is written on this, we'll kind of get a better understanding as to the dynamics of that relationship. We've gotten bits and pieces of it. I still don't think we know the whole story about how this thing went down. We've just gotten bits and pieces of it, and you've only gotten it from really Aaron Rodgers' side. You haven't gotten a lot of it from the Packers side because the Packers have been more sort of demure in terms of how they've discussed it. All right.
The last thing. Let me fit one last thing in. The Green Bay Packers, even the Green Bay Packers teams that Aaron Rodgers was on, had other superstars who at their position were better comparatively than Aaron Rodgers was. And they never complained about the treatment or the team put around them or anything like that, right? Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, Devontae Adams eventually asking out was the result of the souring of his relationship with Aaron Rodgers directly, not the organization on the whole. And then they made reparations once he was gone, and they had that come to God conversation between the two of them and decided to both collectively turn on the Packers. It's just all so dramatic, and it's all at the hands of the players. And the NFL is not a players' league. It is a team-driven league, and there are clearly players that aren't okay with that. And I guess they just need to kind of accept part of how it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a player. But here's the thing. It is a player-driven league if you're the right player. It's a player-driven league if you're Patrick Mahomes. It's a player-driven league if you're Tom Brady. It's a player-driven league if you're, I don't know. Take your other star quarterback of choice.
What do all of those players have in common, though, that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have?
What? What are you going to say?
They're not weirdos.
Well, I mean, look, everybody's a little weird. You don't think Tom Brady's a little weird? Really?
He is. The
TB12 stuff?
Wild.
Really?
It's wild. It's not Aaron Rodgers weird. Not Aaron Rodgers weird.
No, but everybody's got their own eccentricities, their own quirks, that sort of thing. Everybody's got their own thing. Patrick Mahomes seems the closest to normal, but then again, he's got his brother. That whole situation with Jackson Mahomes, his wife's a little cuckoo, just putting that out there as well. All right. We just guaranteed Patrick Mahomes will never be on the podcast. So Thursday Night Football, it's that time. Let's bring in our Prince of Picks here, the great Sam Yarnell. Oh, I'll give you your introduction. Sure. Why not? Come on. Let's go. Why don't I hear it? Oh, no. It failed me. That's it. It failed me. But it says it's all hooked up. I don't understand why I don't hear your intro. See, I can edit this in the podcast version of the show. It's the beauty.
Yeah, but the live listeners, it's
yeah, ruined. I know.
It's
the moment is gone. I get it. That's strange. It's all there.
And now the Cash In presents, it's Cash Cow, the Prince of Picks, Sam Yarnell.
Oh, Sam just gave us another meme moment with the shocked look on his face. Hold on. What happened as we literally got your bed to start playing?
The Red Sox have fired Chaim Bloom.
Well, there had been talk in the last 24 hours after the sweep in the first game of the first two of the doubleheader against the Yankees. There had been talk that some heads were going to roll there. That is not shocking. I wouldn't be shocked if Alex Cora.
14th.
I wouldn't be shocked if Alex Cora winds up gone too.
Great, good. I want Alex Cora out of baseball forever. Please, thank you. Yesterday, tomorrow, I don't care when. I just want Alex Cora gone from baseball forever. The dude is, nothing good in baseball happens on his watch.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Okay. You okay? You make it? You seem pretty emotional. You seem emo right now.
No, I'm just.
You're a bit emo.
Listen, we're getting to that point in the baseball season, Jason. I've been so locked in for football, getting ready to start the hockey season. We get Buffalo Sabres hockey 28 days from today.
Yeah, you are the only one that cares about that. You are the only one that cares about Sabres hockey on September 14th.
I promise
Jesus.
you. Listen, all my puck heads out there, get in the comments on the podcast.
Let's
get
letter. Puckheads. Jesus. Anything but hockey talk. And I've got hockey guys will get on the show, but no. Come on. Give me something else.
We'll be talking NHL eventually.
Thursday night football, Vikings Eagles tonight. It is Minnesota plus 6.5, plus 220 on the money line. 48.5 is the total.
Not touching this. Well, I am touching the side because I have to for the show. Obviously, I will have a pick here when the viewers need it. But, dude, I can't. It took me so long to figure out what to do with this game.
Yeah.
Like, we know Kirk Cousins sucks in primetime. Absolutely horrible. But I don't know if I'm confident in the Philadelphia Eagles to beat them by a touchdown, especially after they only beat New England by 4 last week. It's just tough,
This
man.
is not a tough pick. This is not a tough pick. Minnesota has to travel. Not a long way, granted. Minnesota has to go on the road. They just lost to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers on their home field. And you're telling me you don't think... Sometimes... Can I just stop? Kill the music. Sometimes we overthink these things, Sam. Let's just make it simple here. I know the sports betting guy and the sports betting handicappers and all you sports betting know-it-alls out there. You all like to go, when the weather's doing this and the moon lines up with Venus this way, their record is, and on turf and on this kind of Let's just simplify this. Can we just simplify this for a second? Philadelphia won on the road last week without arguably their A game. Beat the Patriots. The Minnesota Vikings, we watched them lose at home to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. This is coming off of the disappointment we saw last year with this same group that is now minus Dalvin Cook, by the way. Philadelphia's better defensively than they were last year. Granted, some of those pieces and the meshing of that and the interweaving of those guys is still coming together, and they're still figuring that out. I think Philadelphia is going to be better in 4 weeks than they are now. But if you're telling me you don't think they are capable of being 7 points better than the Vikings, based on what we just saw in our week 1 sampling, I don't know what to tell you. You're overthinking it, man. You're overthinking it. You're literally sitting there stressing yourself out over the easiest pick on the planet. Pick on the planet.
I just think it's a rat line. I really do. It's just I'm not taking the cheese.
Sometimes the most logical explanation, it's Occam's razor. Sometimes the most logical explanation is the correct explanation. I just gave it to you.
And sometimes the most logical explanation is a freaking rat line, and I don't want to take the cheese. But I took it anyway, and I took the Eagles and laid the 6.5.
So wait a minute. You went through that whole speech? You gave me the...
It was tough.
You gave me the poker equivalent of the crying call, and then you go and actually tell me you're going to lay the 6.5.
My favorite play is the over. My favorite play in the game is the over. I love the over tonight. And I know primetime, Bad for Kirk Cousins and bad for overs, but I'm feeling this over tonight. I think we get it. I got it at 48.5. It's up to 49.5 at some books. I love the over.
I love Lamp. It's like Anchor, man. I love the over. I love the over. Oh, no. To me, the easiest pick in the world. Easiest pick in the world. Lay that 6.5. Jesus. Gave me all that speech just to tell me he's taking the Eagles minus 6.5.
The odds are moving against us, Jason. They were...
What was the opening line?
So the opening line was 5. That went to 6.5.
Wow.
And now it's climbing its way back towards... now people are betting the Vikings.
So that line might go... Could it land at 6?
Would be interesting. You'd still get a key number there, so...
Yeah. I love Philadelphia. Oh, man, if I had a boatload of cash right now, I would put it on Philadelphia tonight. That's got the potential to be an ugly first Thursday night game, first like Amazon Prime game. I really do. I think that could get out of hand.
I just don't see it, man. I
could honestly see like 24-10, 27-10.
Give me an over. Give me an over.
I don't see an over. I don't see an over. And if the Vikings lose ugly, let's just talk about them for a second. If the Vikings lose and it's ugly tonight,
what if the Eagles push it over the total themselves?
I don't think they're going to put up that many.
Little 42-7. I could see that.
I don't like the over. I'm surprised you're that high on the over. I mean, the weather's going to be good, but
both of those defenses looked horrible in week 1.
Vikings.
Both of them.
If the Vikings lose tonight, next week they have the chart. Oh man, they got a freaking.
Hold on. Let me make sure I don't get this number wrong.
Yeah.
So I can have it exactly right.
Just so while you're looking that up, Eagles, Vikings have the Eagles tonight. Then they are home for the Chargers. That's not going to be a gimme. Then they are at the Panthers, home for the Chiefs, at the Bears, home for the Niners. That's the next 6 for the Vikings after tonight. So if they're 0-2 after tonight, I mean, what are you talking? You're talking about a 3-5 team at best through the first. Here's the good news for them, that division. It may not take more than 10 wins to win that division. I mean, that's the bright side if you're a Vikings fan. You could be a playoff team winning 10 games. You could be 10-7 and win that division.
You could say the same about the NFC East, though.
I don't think so. I think it's going to take 11 or 12. Yes,
win more than
the Cowboys are good. Cowboys are good.
I'm so tired of this.
Cowboys are good. I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're great, but they're good. I mean,
I'm saying they're bad.
They were a playoff team last year when Dak Prescott played as badly as he did. Unless you believe he's going to be worse than he was last year, which I don't think he is, with any degree of improvement, they're a better team this year. They are. Because they're still great defensively. There's no questioning that. They
lost their tight end, who was one of their best receivers.
I don't disagree. I still think that team is... What were you going to say? No, go ahead. Go ahead. Come on.
I'm not low on Jake Ferguson. I believe that's who they're... Yeah, Luke Musgrave in Green Bay, Jake Ferguson in Dallas. I believe that's the way it works. But I don't want Jake Ferguson to think that I'm low on him. In fact, I think his fantasy value is incredible, but I just don't see him having the productivity in terms of an NFL season that Dalton Schultz brings to a team. I don't know. I hate the Cowboys.
Yeah, but you can't bet with, angry blinders on. You know that.
No, you can't bet with your heart.
It's like that's why I can't ever bet on a Yankee game unless I'm betting on the Yankees. No, really, I can't bet it. Like, I cannot bet against the Yankees. It's not possible for me to bet against the Yankees. I've never bet against the Yankees in my life. I would never bet against the Yankees.
I'm just remembering back to that series, that last game in that series against Detroit.
Yeah.
When you were like, oh, I only have to lay 120 with the Yankees. Give me the and they lost 10
Yes,
or
they
something.
got destroyed. I know. What's
What's
awesome. The Yankee line today? They got the doubleheader, which this will be irrelevant.
Not even looking.
This is only good for the live audience. But the Yankees in the early game today are plus. Oh my God, you can get the Yankees at plus money. And Michael King's pitching, and he's pitching so well. Oh my God, I would hammer the Yankees at plus 102. Hammer the Yankees at plus 102.
I don't even know who they're playing, and I'll lay
They're
whatever
in Boston.
it takes
It's
to bet
doubleheader.
against it.
Doubleheader.
Oh,
Tanner Houck.
Doubleheader in September. You got Tanner Houck on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give me the Sox. Give me the Sox all day long.
You're just being a contrarian now. Just being a jerky contrarian.
I am. But honestly, being a contrarian against the New York Yankees this season hasn't been the worst system.
No, that's true. I would hammer the Yankees at plus 102, though. Michael King's going to be in the Yankee rotation next year.
Really quick, here's why I like the over on Thursday night tonight. The Eagles defense.
I'd love to know because I don't see it.
This Eagles defense, who we talked so highly about, how, don't get me wrong, I think Darius Slay is talented, or Slay, as he's known.
Yeah.
The addition of Jalen Carter, sure, it'll be a few more weeks before he has some controversy that takes him out of the league for at least the season and probably his career. We'll see, considering he basically already had one of those and before he was drafted. And oh, by the way, they let McCorkle Jones throw for 316 yards on them last week, and 3 touchdowns. So really, we're going to put a lot of confidence in this Philadelphia defense against Kirk Cousins a week after he let Mac Jones do. Like, Mac Jones to me is Kirk Cousins Jr., and I don't think that that's very far off.
The Vikings scored 17 points at home against the Buccaneers. Don't tell me about this vaunted Vikings offense. Just stop.
The Buccaneers defense is the best part of that team.
It's still not that good.
Kirk Cousins threw for 344 yards. I will take that. 6 ways to Sunday. They got unlucky on a couple of drives and had a couple of fumbles, but Kirk Cousins threw for almost 350 yards, and,
prime time. He's not throwing for 350 yards tonight. If there's a prop bet on how many yards, what's the number on what he throws for tonight? Can you give me his player? Can you give me his player props?
Give me just a moment here. But listen, they are out. His passing prop is 262.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty low.
That's really low. Now, again, here's the good news. Here's the good news. I'll put it on your card. Here's the good news. If they're playing from behind in that game, he's going to have to throw it. So,
putting it in right now.
Oh my God. Jesus. Clean your screen, man.
Boom.
Dirty phone.
Boom.
All right. So you love the over. You don't love the 6.5, but you're going to lay it anyway. I don't like the total at all. If anything, I would go under. We're kind of the inverse of each other. I'm not crazy about the total, but I would go under 48.5. You would go the opposite of that, and we both like the 6.5. Philadelphia lay the 6.5. Okay. Got to tie up some odds and ends before we go, because I promised Sam we'd talk about a few things today, and we like to keep Sam happy. One, new NBA rules on sitting players. Can I tell you, nobody is happier than me about this. And it's almost like I'll give a political equivalent to this. Election years in a lot of countries, sometimes in the U.S., you get all these promises and all these different things that get thrown out to to political bases, whether it's the right, whether it's the left. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. In Singapore, they just send money. The only reason I know this, my husband's from Singapore. They actually just send money to the voters so they could stay in power. They're like, hey, here's a free $500. Why? Here's $500. And they give it to you. Like, that's the craziness. And the voters are like, hey, they gave us $500. It's election year. Let's vote for them. This is the NBA's way. It's their equivalent of what politicians do to buy votes. The NBA is trying to buy media rights packages. The NBA is saying to the TNTs, the NBCs, the CBSs, the ESPNs, the Disneys of the world, hey, man, look, we're doing everything we can to stop this problem of guys being sat on primetime nights. Having hosted this show in nights from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern, I cannot tell you how many nights we did the show and TNT's game would come on the back half of the doubleheader. ESPN, the back half of the doubleheader. And we'd be stuck watching the G League version of the Warriors, the G League version of the Nuggets, the G League version of the Lakers, the G League version of the Clippers, the G League version of the Suns, because teams were sitting their stars. No more! No more! It's not happening anymore. Adam Silver has made it clear. You will not sit your stars for primetime games. Period. Full stop. And he's put some rules in place. Now, I want to run through them real quick here. Teams must manage their roster and ensure no more than one star player is unavailable for the game. What is defined as a star? It's 3 years of being all NBA or an all-star, that sort of thing. So in the case of, say, the Celtics, they would not be allowed to rest Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in the same game unless they're both actually injured. Now, what's the workaround for this? Are teams going to fake injuries? That's where it's going to get interesting. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Oh, can't play tonight. Oh, I got a hangnail. Can't play tonight. Plantar fasciitis. Can't play tonight. But this is the big one to me. Teams must ensure star players are available for nationally televised and in-season tournament games. That is directly aimed at trying to bolster the money the league's going to get for these rights packages coming up next season, I believe it is. Teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdown when a star player stops participating in games or plays in a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. So, under that scenario, as ESPN points out, the Washington Wizards and the Blazers would have been investigated by the league after shutting down Bradley Beal for 10 games, Damian Lillard for 11 games at the end of last year. Teams must maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in home games and road games, with a preference for those absences to happen in home games. And teams must ensure that healthy players resting for a game are present and visible to fans. I don't care about that. It does no good. $1 million fines could happen if this gets out of hand. $100,000 for the first offense, $250,000 for the second offense, $1 million more than the previous penalty for each additional fine. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's a great move by the league. It's long overdue. I don't know why it took this long. We've been bitching and moaning about it forever. But it's going to, as a huge fan of the NBA and somebody who actually enjoys the NBA regular season, even when I'm not betting on it, I'm glad the league is finally doing something to address this.
Well, I'm glad that we have now figured out that during the winter months of the show, you can do all the basketball talk and I'll do all the hockey talk, because I really don't care about the NBA regular season. And here's why. this exact problem we're talking about, mixed with the fact that, oh yeah, there's definitely going to be a workaround that they figure out to this, whether it's, oh, some guy's gonna pretend like in the middle of the season he's gonna hold out for a contract extension for 4 days to get a rest break or something like that. They'll figure something out, Jason. They always do. Nothing's really gonna change. The NBA is too much of a players' league, and because of that, the players will somehow find a way around all of this.
The NBA is going to allow pre-approved designated back-to-back allowances for players who are 35 years old on opening night. This is called the LeBron James rule. Or have career workloads of 34,000 regular season minutes or 1,000 regular season and playoff games combined. So that's their formula as far as that's concerned. But I'm glad the league's doing. At least they're trying. At least they're trying.
Does KD qualify for that?
Who?
Does Kevin Durant?
I would think
he's
so.
35, right?
I don't even.
35.
Well, or they have career workloads of 34,000 regular season minutes or 1,000 regular season and playoff games combined. That would be KD. He's got to be over 1,000. Yeah, that's the crazy superstar rule. Like James Harden would probably be in that. Remember, KD came out. What? He was 19 years old. He's been in the
Kevin
league.
Durant turns 35 in 13 days.
Okay. Well, but he's over 1,000 games. He had to be over 1,000 regular season and playoff games combined, right?
986.
Wow, he's close on both of them, though. 34,000 regular season minutes? Come on, give me one of them. He's got to hit one of them. Career minutes. Kevin Durant. What do we got?
Oh, I'm looking at per game stats. Hold on.
Kevin Durant. Career minutes played. 36,181. Boom! How's the old person finding the information before you? You young whippersnappers are supposed to be able to find this stuff in your sleep.
I'm using a database, not StatMuse or whatever you're using.
I just did a simple Google. I asked the Google, and it gave me the answer. All right, I'm going to do something that I have not done since we've started this show. I am going to cede the final thoughts on this show to Sam because he has something that he is very upset about. I actually sent it to him yesterday, but I think he already knew about it before I sent it to him.
Didn't.
No? Oh, okay. So I turned him on to it. But you're more fired up about it than I am. So I'm going to let you talk about this OnlyFans star who has been barred from going to her favorite college football team's games. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I just think this is a crazy story, Jason. So the story is this woman, Allie Ray is her name, who is a huge content creator for like college sports. Like the majority of her social media, at least what I saw her from, was talking all about Minnesota. Like she was the only person who talked about Minnesota football and college hockey most specifically. But the Minnesota Gophers have blocked her from tagging them in her posts and blocked her completely on social media just because she also apparently has an OnlyFans account.
Well,
so
yeah, we know what comes with an OnlyFans account, don't we? Okay, let's just make that clear.
But I think that there's like a very interesting, because like, I don't know, I feel like people can have multiple jobs generally, and I don't think that that's something, you can really hold against someone. Not that, blocking someone is something you can take legal action over, and theoretically the woman could just make, a ghost account or whatever to follow Gophers, right, a burner account. But at the end of the day, this is a woman who was a registered nurse, a U.S. Navy veteran, and it's just not a great look for the University of Minnesota to block somebody who's trying to promote two of their athletic teams. So yeah, I just kind of had a problem with that. When you sent me that story, it was just a little bit upsetting because, content creation is what drives the sports world. right? It's what keeps you and I specifically employed, but it's what I feel like people who we talk about all the time having normal jobs or living in the real world, right? It's like they consume to get away from the real world or their normal jobs. So I don't know. I just don't think it's a great look for the University of Minnesota. I don't think it's a great look for the Gophers fan base, because I haven't really seen anything outside of this ESPN article from, I think, Los Angeles. Just not great. Kind of disappointed in the Golden Gophers.
Do you have an OnlyFans account, Sam?
I don't, unfortunately.
No.
Do you?
I don't. I have long maintained, though, that if I had certain attributes, certain appendages.
All right.
Listen,
all right.
no. Listen.
Are we on the air? Are we?
Listen.
Is this thing on?
This is the truth. If I didn't have anything else to do, like if I had nothing else going for me, but the one thing I had going for me, Mark Wahlberg, Boogie Nights, I think something like that.
Comment, subscribe.
If I had something like that to offer, and I didn't have anything else going on, I'd be like, yeah.
Comment, subscribe.
I'd do 5 years of OnlyFans and just rack up the cash. I know people who, I will say, I know people who have done it. And they make bank, man. They make bank.
All I will say is comment, subscribe.
Have you ever, all right, now I'm going to really put you on the spot.
Oh, goodness.
Have you ever paid to look at somebody's OnlyFans account?
No.
Tell the truth.
No. Although, I will say.
Hold on. The hedge is coming.
So that became, no. So that became very popular, what? Like 5 years? I don't know. How long ago did that become popular? Like 5 years ago or whatever? For my fantasy football league that I do with all my college buddies, we have a Google form that we all fill out at the beginning of the year with just stuff about the league, right? Do we want to do keepers this year? How do we want to figure out the draft? What do we want the punishment to be and stuff like that? And there was an option on one of the punishments to be, you have to buy an OnlyFans account for the entire league to share. It didn't win, unfortunately.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Sam likes the Eagles -6.5. He doesn't love it. I love the Eagles -6.5. Sam loves the Eagles total over 48.5. I like the under. Enjoy the Thursday night football. We're back on Friday. You here tomorrow, Sam?
Page versus the Prince. Of course I'm here.
I'm just checking. You were 3-1 last week. I was 2-2.
Gonna go better than that this week.
Yeah. Well, not if your pick tonight is any indication.
Love the board this week. Love the board.
That's when it winds up being the very worst, I have found. It's the boards right. I don't like. It's the boards I don't like where I do well, and it's the boards I love where I don't do well. Every time. Yankees +102 today, by the way, if you're watching live in the first game of that doubleheader. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. If you have not liked us or subscribed to the podcast, please do. We're now on every podcasting platform, so go and check that out. On Twitch, Jason Page 77. On X, formerly known as Twitter, at the back page, and on YouTube, Facebook. Just look for the Cash In with Jason Page. For Sam Yarnell, I'm Jason Page. Be kind to the elderly and dogs. See you back here tomorrow. It's true. Be kind to old people and the elderly and dogs, man.
Be kind.